Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. You've been pressing, pushing, and enduring for a long time. You've been in seasons where it felt like the weight on your shoulders was too much to carry, where you kept going not because you had the strength, but because God kept you standing. You faced battles in silence, storms that others couldn't see, and trials that forced you to grow in ways you never imagined. But hear this clearly: God says, the struggle is over. Now is the time to receive your rest. This is not just about physical rest, it's about spiritual restoration, emotional healing, and divine alignment. The same God who saw you through the midnight hour is now declaring that the sun is rising on your new season. You don't have to keep fighting battles that are already won in heaven. You don't have to keep proving yourself or forcing doors open, because now God is going to do it for you. Let's break this down into 7 chapters so you can fully understand the depth of this word and how to step into this season of rest. Before we step into this word, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because this isn't just another video, it's a prophetic confirmation that God has appointed for you in this exact moment. If your spirit is resonating right now, type 77 in the comments. That number isn't random, it's a prophetic signal in the spirit realm, a declaration that you are aligned with heaven's timing and ready to step into the rest God has prepared for you. Not everyone will stay until the end. Only those who are truly chosen will feel the pull to receive this in full. But if you remain, you will gain clarity, experience peace settling over your soul, and unlock the divine rest and breakthrough that have been waiting for your spirit to be ready. Let's dive in. It's not just another set of words scrolling across your screen. This is heaven leaning close, whispering to you what you've been aching to hear. God saw it all. Every long night you laid awake, replaying events in your mind, trying to understand why it had to happen that way. He was there. Every morning you woke up with an invisible heaviness pressing on your chest, wondering how you were going to make it through the day. He was there. Every moment you fought back tears in front of people so they wouldn't see your breaking point. He was there. You may have thought, nobody notices, nobody cares, nobody truly understands what I'm going through. But the truth is, God noticed, God cared, God understood. You were never abandoned. Even in the moments you felt utterly alone. He saw the prayers you didn't have the strength to speak out loud. He heard the sighs when you didn't have words left. He watched you give your last ounce of energy to help someone else, even when you yourself were empty. He took note of every time you put others before yourself, not for recognition, but because it was in your nature to love deep. God saw the betrayal. He saw when people you trusted turned their backs on you, without warning. He saw the lies spoken about you to damage your name. He saw the seasons when those you supported disappeared when it was your turn to be supported. He saw you suffer injustice quietly, refusing to retaliate, because you didn't want to step out of alignment with him. And still, you remained faithful. You kept showing up, you kept believing. Maybe not for yourself at times, but for the people around you. And that matters to God more than you realize. The enemy wanted your struggle to convince you that God had forgotten you. But in reality, your struggle was the place where God was most present. When you were barely holding it together, His Spirit was holding you. When you thought you were walking alone, He was carrying you. When you were at the breaking point, He was reinforcing your strength from within. Chosen one, what you endured wasn't random pain, it was divine training. The very storms that tried to drown you ended up washing away everything that was never meant for your next season. The seasons of silence were refining your ability to hear Him clearly. The seasons of lack were teaching you stewardship for the abundance that's on the way. The seasons of isolation were shaping you to stand strong, even when no one is standing beside you. You've been in the fire, but not to be destroyed. You've been refined like gold. You've been pressed but not crushed. You've been struck down but not destroyed. Everything the enemy used to try to break you became the tool God used to build you. And now heaven makes this declaration over you. The night season is over. The long battle is over. The silent suffering is over. You are stepping into your rest. You are entering a season where your soul will breathe again, where joy will no longer feel foreign, and where peace will be your daily reality. This is not just encouragement. This is your prophetic shift. God saw every struggle, and now he's saying, enough, my child. The struggle is over. It is time to receive your rest. Chapter 2. The battle was spiritual. Chosen one, you need to see your past through the right lens, because if you only look at it through the natural, you'll miss the truth of what really happened. This wasn't just about bad luck, unfair people, or unfortunate events. No, the battle you've been fighting has always been spiritual. From the very beginning, your life has carried a mark, a divine assignment placed on you by God himself, and the enemy recognized it before you did. He saw the calling on your life before you ever prayed your first prayer. He saw the oil on your head before you even knew what anointing meant. He saw the ripple effect of your obedience, that when you finally walked into your purpose, generations would be changed, strongholds would be broken, and light would pierce into places of deep darkness. And so he attacked early. The delays you experienced, they were not random. They were engineered to make you doubt God's timing. The disappointments that cut deep, they were crafted to convince you that hope was dangerous. The cycles you kept finding yourself in, they were designed to make you believe you were cursed, stuck, or unworthy. But you survived them, and that survival wasn't by accident. It was divine preservation. The enemy thought if he could hit you with enough back-to-back losses, you'd break in the spirit. He thought if he could put you in environments where you were misunderstood, isolated, and underestimated, you'd shrink and hide your light. He thought if he could flood your mind with fear, anxiety, and lies, you'd surrender before the fight was over. But what he didn't realize was that God had already fortified you. Even before the trial, heaven had already deposited into you a resilience that hell could not destroy. That's why you're still here, even when others counted you out. That's why you still have faith, even when the storm tried to drown it. That's why you still feel purpose burning inside you, even after all you've been through. The truth is, this was never just your fight. Heaven was fighting for you the entire time. Angels were assigned to protect you in moments you didn't even know danger was near. The Spirit of God was interceding for you when you didn't have the words to pray. And Jesus himself was standing as your advocate, making sure the enemy's accusations against you could not stand. Chosen one, the fact that you've made it this far is proof that the war in the Spirit has already been settled in your favor. The verdict is in. You've won. Now what has been finished in heaven is about to manifest on earth. The doors that were locked will open. The resistance you felt will dissolve. The very areas where you were attacked, the hardest, will become the very areas where you shine the brightest. This is why you've been feeling the shift lately. The atmosphere around you is lighter. The warfare is different. Your spirit senses that something is breaking open. That's not your imagination, that's confirmation. The struggle was spiritual, but so is the victory. And now you're stepping into the visible evidence of what heaven has already decreed. You've fought long enough. You've endured long enough. The battle was spiritual, but the reward will be physical, undeniable, and unshakable. And it's already on the way. Chapter 3. God is ending the striving. There comes a time when heaven issues a decree that echoes through the spirit realm, a moment when God says, enough. Enough of the toiling, enough of the endless grinding, enough of waking up every day feeling like you're in a war zone, just to keep your head above water, enough of the exhausting cycles where you pour out more than you receive, and where it feels like you have to beg, hustle, and fight for every inch of progress. Chosen one, you've been in a season where every blessing seemed to come with a battle, and every breakthrough felt delayed by resistance you couldn't explain. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've persevered, and yet it seemed like the harder you pushed, the heavier the opposition became. There were moments you even questioned if you were doing something wrong. But in reality, this was all preparation. God was allowing you to build spiritual muscle, to train you for the promise, to ensure that when the blessing came, you'd have the capacity to steward it. Now that season of constant striving is coming to an end. This is not just a change in pace, it's a shift in the entire spiritual atmosphere around you. The grace on your life is increasing. Where before you had to chase opportunities, now opportunities will find you. Where before you had to knock repeatedly on closed doors, now the right doors will swing open at your arrival. And where before you had to fight to prove your worth, now your presence alone will command respect and recognition, without you having to explain or justify yourself. God is releasing divine helpers, people who are assigned to carry part of your load. They will show up without you begging for their assistance. They will see your value without you convincing them. These are not just connection, they are covenant alignments, orchestrated by heaven, to lighten the weight you've been carrying alone for too long. In this new season, the work will still be there, but it won't feel like work. The heaviness will lift. The exhaustion will be replaced with energy. The anxiety will give way to peace. You will feel yourself moving at heaven's rhythm, instead of the frantic pace of human striving, and the difference will be undeniable. This is the fulfillment of Zechariah 4:6. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. In the past you accomplished things through sheer determination and grit, but now it will be His Spirit doing the lifting. His favor will go before you, His provision will flow to you, and His rest will guard. God is bringing you into a place where what once took months will happen in days, where what once seemed impossible will become effortless, and where the weight that used to break you will no longer have the power to even bend you. This is not because the battles have disappeared, but because your position in the Spirit has changed. You're no longer fighting from the ground up, you're fighting from a place of victory. The season of striving is over. The season of receiving has begun, and you're about to see how different life feels when it's God's hand moving things instead of your own. Chapter 4. Rest does not mean inactivity. Chosen one, don't mistake rest for doing nothing. Rest is not laziness, it's alignment. It's a deliberate choice to live in rhythm with the heartbeat of God, rather than exhausting yourself trying to control outcomes that are already in His hands. Rest is when you move in sync with the Holy Spirit, letting Him lead instead of striving to make things happen through sheer willpower. You see, the world has taught people to equate busyness with productivity. But in the kingdom, constant movement doesn't always equal progress. You can be running fast in the wrong direction and still end up empty. God is calling you to understand that rest is a posture, not a pause. It is an inner knowing that your steps are ordered, your provision is secured, and your future is already written in His perfect plan. In this season, God is not asking you to stop building, working, or pursuing the vision He placed in your heart. Instead, He is asking you to shift the source from which you operate. You will work from a place of rest, not rest from work. You will still show up, but without fear driving you. You will still make moves, but not from a place of panic. Your pace will be steady, your mind clear, your spirit unshaken. Look at Jesus. He faced storms, crowds, and constant demands, yet He never rushed, never begged for opportunities, and never moved outside of the Father's timing. He slept peacefully in a boat during a violent storm, because He knew the storm was not greater than His assignment. That is the level of rest God wants to cultivate in you, where the chaos around you no longer dictates the condition within you. When you learn this rest, your productivity will stop being measured by hours spent and start being measured by results produced. And here's the mystery: the results will be greater, even though the effort may seem less. Why? Because you are no longer working alone. You are working with heaven's assistance. Favor will meet you in unexpected places. Resources will appear without you forcing them. Doors will open without you pounding on them. This type of rest is also protection. When you are aligned with God's timing, you avoid unnecessary battles. You no longer rush into situations that drain you or enter relationships that derail you. You will have the discernment to say no to distractions, even if they look like opportunities, and that no will guard your energy for the assignments that truly matter. Rest does not mean absence of movement. It means movement without strength. It means walking into rooms knowing you belong there, because God sent you, not because you fought your way in. It means trusting that even on days when you do less, heaven is still working on your behalf. It means realizing that the same God who made the universe without stress is capable of guiding your life without pressure. So in this season, let your rest be your weapon. Let your peace be your proof. Let your alignment be your advantage. And as you work from rest, you will discover that you are doing more than ever, not because you are pushing harder, but because you are finally flowing with the one who makes all things possible. Chapter 5. The Divine Exchange. When God declares the struggle over, He doesn't simply take something away, He replaces it with something infinitely better. This is the way of heaven. God never leaves a void. He fills it with His goodness, His abundance, and His glory. He is not just removing the weight from your shoulder, He is replacing it with a crown. He is not just silencing the storm, He is replacing it with a song of victory. He is not just closing the chapter of pain, He is opening the chapter of purpose. The divine exchange is not just symbolic, it's spiritual law. Isaiah 61 describes it so beautifully. To give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Notice, chosen one, it's not a one-sided trade. You bring Him your ashes, the remains of what life burned down, and He gives you beauty in return. You bring Him your mourning, the tears you cried in private, and He pours joy into your soul. You bring Him your heaviness, the weight you carried in silence, and He wraps you in a garment of praise, so that you can walk with your head lifted high again. This is what's happening in your life right now. Heaven has assessed the cost of your obedience, the price of your endurance, the depth of your sacrifice, and God has decided it's time to balance the scales. But here's the thing, God never repays you with an equal exchange. His restoration is always greater than the loss. If you lost years, He will give you double for your trouble. If you lost relationships, He will replace them with connections that carry destiny. If you lost opportunities, He will open doors that you never even knew existed. You are about to walk into rooms that once made you feel small and realize you've outgrown that intimidation. The same place that used to overwhelm you will now feel like an assignment you're equipped for. The conversations that once left you doubting yourself will now reveal how much wisdom God has deposited in you during your waiting season. You'll notice the shift not only in your circumstances, but in you. The divine exchange changes your posture. It replaces fear with authority, insecurity with confidence, and anxiety with unshakable peace. And this peace, it will not make sense to the people around you. They will try to figure out how you're still smiling, how you're still standing, how you're even thriving after everything that was meant to break you. But the truth is, it's not your strength holding you up anymore, it's His. And here's the most powerful part. The divine exchange doesn't just benefit you. God will use the evidence of your restoration to minister to others. People will look at your life and realize, if God could do that for them, He can do it for me too. Your testimony will become a prophetic announcement that the same God who restored you is still in the business of turning mourning into dancing. So, chosen one, this is not just the end of a hard season, it's the beginning of your upgraded life. The divine exchange is already in motion. Lay down the last of your ashes, release the final remnants of that heaviness. Hand over every burden you've been carrying, Because God is not only taking the weight off your shoulders, He's placing glory in your hands. And once this exchange is complete, you will never go back to the person you were before. The provision is already prepared. Chosen one. One of the reasons God is telling you to rest right now is because the fight for provision is over. The weight you carried about how and when is being lifted, because the how has already been arranged and the when has already been scheduled by heaven. Long before you entered this season of struggle, the Lord had already sent the answer ahead of you. Before the enemy launched his attack, the Lord had already positioned your rescue. Before the problem appeared, the provision was secured. He is not scrambling to meet your needs. He is the God who works from the end to the beginning. He already saw this day, this challenge, this need, and He made sure that when you arrived here, the answer would be waiting. This is why Psalm 23:5 says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." Not after they leave, not after the battle is over. Right there while they are watching, while they are doubting, while they are whispering, God sets the table in front of you as a public display of His faithfulness. And this table isn't just a symbolic picture, it's the reality you are about to step into. The resources you need are already in place. The right people have already been positioned. The doors that matter have already been unlocked. You don't have to knock endlessly or beg your way in. They will swing open because the King has sent you. Chosen one, you are about to walk into prepared blessings, the kind you didn't have to build from scratch. Just like God told Israel in Deuteronomy 6, you are entering a land with houses you didn't build, vineyards you didn't plant, and wells you didn't dig. You will drink from what someone else labored for, not because you're taking from them, but because God stored it up for you. And maybe you don't see it yet. Maybe right now it still feels like lack. But understand this, in the spirit realm, the delivery has already been made. The angels have already dispatched it. The warehouse of heaven has already released it. You're not waiting for God to send it. God is waiting for you to step into the place where it's already sitting. This is why the striving is over. This is why you don't have to manipulate connections or force outcomes. You don't have to lower your value to get a seat at the table. God has prepared a table with your name engraved into the chair. All you have to do is sit down, and when you do, the very people who questioned how you would make it will witness the overflow that comes without your hustle, without your begging, without your compromise. This is the season where the prepared provision meets the prepared person. No matter what the enemy tried to block, what God has already arranged cannot be intercepted. No delay can cancel it. No opposition can touch it. And when it arrives, you will know that it was never about your effort. It was always about His faithfulness. Chapter 7. Receive the rest. This is the most important part, receiving. You can know about rest, talk about it, even encourage others to take it, yet still never experience it yourself. Why? Because rest is not something that automatically comes with time. It's something you permit yourself to embrace. It's an intentional surrender. It's the moment you stop trying to prove your worth to people, to circumstances, or even to yourself, and finally realize that your worth was sealed by God before you ever took your first breath. Rest is not weakness, it is worship. It's you saying, "Lord, I trust you enough to stop striving and simply be." It's allowing your soul to be still, without guilt. It's silencing the lies that say, if you're not moving, you're falling behind. It's breaking the cycle that makes you feel like you must be constantly producing to be valuable. The truth is, chosen one, you are loved in your quiet as much as in your lure. To receive rest, you must release. Release the anxiety that wakes you up at night. Release the pressure that tells you you're running out of time. Release the survival mode that has kept you tense for years. Some of you have been operating on emergency energy for so long that peace feels unfamiliar. But God says, the struggle is over. Receive your rest. You don't need perfect conditions to rest. You don't need all the answers. You don't have to wait until every door opens or every problem disappears. You simply need to remember, the same God who carried you in the storm is the same God who will hold you steady in the calm. If he was faithful when the winds were raging, he will be faithful when the sun is shining. When you truly receive rest, something shifts in you. Your mind begins to quiet down, no longer trapped in an endless loop of what-if scenarios. Your heart stops racing with the urgency of survival and starts beating to the rhythm of trust. Your body starts to heal because peace repairs what stress destroys. Even the spiritual atmosphere around you changes. Relationships feel lighter, decisions become clearer, and your spirit becomes more sensitive to God's whispers. This is the season where your spirit will breathe again, where the inner chaos will settle, where joy will not just visit, it will live inside you. You will walk through your days without the frantic pace that once defined you, moving instead in the steady, unshakable rhythm of divine grace. And you will finally understand that rest is not the absence of motion, it's the presence of God's peace in every single step you take. You've endured the wilderness, you've fought through the nights. Now the Father says, lay your head on my shoulder. The journey is not over, but the fight for your survival is. Chosen one, hear this clearly, you're not just entering a season of rest. You're entering a lifestyle of it, a peace that cannot be stolen, a calm that cannot be shaken, a trust so deep that even when the waves rise again, your soul will remain anchored.